I was 23 when it started. I had just moved from Montana to Colorado for work. It was the first time I had ever lived truly alone, and I was proud of myself for landing a job at a small photography studio. My apartment wasn't great, but it was mine. A creaky third-floor walk-up, thin walls, and a balcony barely big enough for a folding chair. But I liked it. The first time I noticed the man was during one of my evening walks. It was late September, cold enough that I could see my breath. I had earbuds in, scrolling through a playlist, when I got the strange sense someone was matching my pace behind me. When I glanced back, there he was. A man in a black baseball cap, hands in his pockets, walking about 20 feet behind me. At first I thought nothing of it. People walk. People exist. I sped up. He sped up. I slowed. He slowed. I crossed the street. He crossed a few seconds later. I even ducked into a gas station to grab a drink I didn't need, and waited inside for 10 minutes, pretending to browse gum and lighters. When I left, he was standing across the street under a street lamp, pretending to be on his phone. I remember my throat tightening. I walked quickly home, trying not to look back too often. My building had a front entrance with a buzzer, and I always buzzed myself in. That night, I slipped inside and sprinted up the stairs without waiting for the old elevator I watched from the peephole for almost half an hour. No one followed me inside. No one came to my door. Eventually, I convinced myself it was just some guy walking home and that nothing had happened. For 2 weeks, nothing did. Then I saw him again. Same black cap, same hands in pockets posture. This time, I was heading to work, not even close to the route where I first saw him. He walked past me without looking up, but I recognized him immediately. Same stiff gait. Same way he kept his chin tucked down. I froze. My fingers tightened around my camera bag, but he didn't stop. He didn't turn. He just walked on. That was the first time my sense of safety cracked. I told my boss I felt sick and went home early. I spent the rest of the day checking the windows and jumping at every sound in the hallway. I didn't know it yet, but that was only the beginning. The man wasn't just someone I had passed on the street. He wasn't someone who happened to live nearby. He was following me, and he wasn't going to stop proof. I wasn't imagining it by mid-October. I was barely sleeping. Every night, I felt like someone was standing just outside my apartment door. I kept telling myself I was paranoid, but the uneasiness never faded. I bought a cheap camera and pointed it at my front door, just in case someone came by. The footage was empty for 3 nights. Then on the 4th night, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. to a faint metallic rattling. It was so subtle that at first I thought it was the pipes again. But then it came again. A slow, cautious jiggle of the door handle. I sat up in bed, heart racing so hard it hurt. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Whoever was out there pressed on the door once, twice, then stopped. After a minute, I heard soft footsteps retreating. In the morning, I checked the footage. There he was, the man in the black cap, standing at my door for almost a full minute before trying the handle. He didn't knock. He didn't speak. He just tested the lock and left. I brought the clip to my building manager. He shrugged and said it was probably someone who got the wrong door. When I insisted it was the same man following me outside, he nodded without listening and told me they'd keep an eye out. I went to the police next. They watched the same clip and said the man hadn't done anything illegal. Standing outside a door wasn't a crime. I wanted to scream at them to shake them, but I didn't have anything more to show. Nothing. Until I found the note. It was taped to the inside of my apartment door, meaning whoever put it there had slipped it under the gap and somehow wedged it upward. The paper was dirty, folded into a small square. Inside, in shaky handwriting, it read, "I like your photographs." My blood ran ice cold. I had never given my name or my job to anyone in the building. I didn't post my location publicly. No one except coworkers knew where I worked. The thought that he'd visited the studio made me nauseous. I started asking customers quietly if they had seen a man fitting his description. One coworker said yes. A man with a black cap had come in the previous week and waited near the back, never speaking, never approaching the counter. He left after a few minutes without buying anything. It was him. He had found my workplace. I cried the whole drive home. My friends begged me to move. My mother offered money for a plane ticket home, but moving felt like giving up the small independence I had built. Then the phone call started. Blocked numbers. No voice on the other end, just breathing. Slow. Intentional. And with every call, I became more certain. The man wasn't just stalking me. He was planning something I finally cracked the day before Thanksgiving. I couldn't take another night of listening for footsteps outside my door. I quit my job with a single email and packed everything I owned into my car. I didn't tell anyone my route. I paid cash for gas when I could. I took back roads and avoided interstates. I drove from Colorado to New Mexico, then toward Arizona. I didn't stop anywhere for more than a few minutes. At every gas station, I looked for a man in a black cap. When I checked into a motel, I used a fake name and asked for a room far from the street. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. On the second night of driving, I pulled into a rest stop somewhere in northern Arizona. It was nearly empty, just a trucker asleep in his cab and an older couple walking their dog. I locked myself in the bathroom stall and splashed cold water on my face. When I stepped outside again, the sun was fading and the air felt heavy. Then I saw it. A black cap. It was hanging in the window of a dark blue SUV parked 2 spaces away from my car. At first, I told myself I was being dramatic. Lots of people wear black caps. Lots of cars are blue. But when the driver door opened slightly, then closed again, just a soft click, I froze. I watched the SUV's headlights turn on. No. 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 I ran to my car so fast I dropped my keys twice. When I finally got inside, I didn't buckle my seatbelt, I just floored it. My tires squealed and gravel spit behind me. In the rearview mirror, the SUV pulled out a second later. I drove like my life depended on it because I was convinced it did. For nearly 40 minutes, the SUV stayed behind me. Never too close, never too far. Just close enough that I could see the faint silhouette of a man in the driver's seat. I took an exit at the last second. The SUV followed. I turned onto a dirt service road. It followed. My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear anything else. When I finally reached a dead end, I thought it was over. I thought I had made the worst mistake of my life. But the SUV didn't pull in behind me. It slowed, it reversed, it drove away. That terrified me more than if he had stopped. Because it meant he didn't need to catch me yet. He had all the time in the world. He knew I was running, and he knew I wouldn't get far. The ending. I still don't understand. By the time I reached Nevada, I was barely functioning. I was surviving off gas station snacks and adrenaline. Every car behind me, every pedestrian, every motel guest felt like a threat. I moved rooms twice in one night because I thought I heard footsteps outside. It all ended at a small grocery store outside Reno. I had stopped there because I couldn't drive anymore. My hands were shaking too badly. I sat in my car, head down, trying to calm myself. When I looked up, I saw him walking across the parking lot. Black cap, same posture, same stiff walk. He wasn't rushing, he wasn't hiding. He walked straight toward the store entrance, pushing a shopping cart he must have grabbed from the corral. I watched him. He didn't look at me. Not once. He entered the store and disappeared behind the automatic doors. I don't remember deciding to do it, I just acted. I grabbed my phone, ran inside, and followed him. I checked every aisle. Produce, frozen foods, cereal, pharmacy, nothing. He was gone. I asked an employee if they had seen a man in a black cap come in. She said no. I described him again. She shook her head. The store had cameras at the entrance. When I asked if I could see the footage, she pointed me to the manager. He pulled up the camera feed. We rewound to the moment I saw him walk inside. There was nothing, no man, no card. Just me sitting in my car, then suddenly sprinting into the store. He was never on the footage. I don't remember leaving the store, I don't remember getting back to my motel. But that night, I made a decision. I called my mother and told her I was coming home. I didn't care if it made me look weak, I didn't care if I lost everything I had worked for. I just wanted to live. I never saw him again. Not on the road, not in Montana, not anywhere. But sometimes, when I'm driving at night and I see headlights behind me for a little too long, I feel that same cold pressure in my chest. The fear that he's still out there. Not because he disappeared, but because he let me go. And I don't know why.